You said that that there is a non-theistic argument against abortion in general that can be made by saying it's not natural, right? That was the argument you made.
Sure.
Okay, and our point is there are all kinds of other things that are not natural that we have no problem with. So whether it's natural or not isn't the issue, and therefore that's not a good argument.
I'm saying from a moral standpoint it is.
Then don't bring in nature, because what you really care about is the morality. And where do you get your morality from?
I get my morality from what's natural, what's human. I mean, what's right. I mean, don't you guys...
Then again, cars are immoral.
Like, you sit there and you rank on Christians or Muslims or whomever because they set their morals according to guidelines in a book. So... But you never actually come out and say what you set your guidelines to.
I'll happily. Okay. Would you like to know?
Yeah, we haven't had that question yet.
We'll tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen your show for 6 years now, and I've never seen you answer it.
Then you haven't been watching for 6 years.
You haven't watched every episode. I know this comes up. This comes up on a regular basis.
The same episode, like the first time I ever turned you on. You kind of do the same thing over and over again.
Well, because we're dealing with a first-time audience, but we've gone over this question many, 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 many times.
Do you want to hear it now?
Maybe you could share it sometime. I don't know.
How about now?
Yeah, how about now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. In fact, I brought this up earlier in the show. What morality is about, the point to having a moral system is so that we can get along. That is the point.
Based on what, though? I mean, that's totally...
Based on human interaction.
I don't buy that.
Oh, I'm sorry, but now we have stated where we get our moral system from.
Yeah, but that's a thinner argument than the whole nature thing, because the Romans were totally, that they did whatever they wanted, and that was okay according to...
Romans had all kinds of laws. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's my point. It's like the laws in other countries are completely different, and the morals and cultural mores are different over there than what they are here.
Of course they are. So what?
Well, they're slightly different. They are not entirely different.
It can be.
There are typically no society has been around that says murder's good. Kill your neighbors.
Well,
and if society did say that, they're gone now.
But so what? I mean, you asked me where we get our morals from, and I told you. Now, if you're going to say, well, but that source, right, examining human interaction and trying to figure out the best way to get along with each other, that is not 100% perfect, I completely agree with you. I never said it was.
Okay, well, I can agree with that then.
Okay. I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect moral system.
And the rest we can agree to disagree.
About what?
About everything else.
Okay, everything else. That's odd, because the few things where we've really gotten to the core of it, we've agreed. We've agreed on everything that really matters.
What I take issue to is that you paint, as me as a Christian, watching your show, that I'm some moron who's following Jimmy Swaggart in a blue polyester suit.
No. You know what I will say? Here's what I'll say. I think that to the extent that people take Christianity seriously, they are exactly that kind of person you're talking about. I think that what you have just proved in this call, that when you look at the development of the fetus for argument about when abortion is acceptable and not acceptable, that means you're not taking the religion seriously on that count, and that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm taking it. I'm just saying I'm not going to judge anybody because it's not up to me.
Well, I mean, there's the Bible, right? And there's a bunch of different religions that use the Bible as their holy book. Now, you sound like you are not a fundamentalist. Are you a fundamentalist? I don't know
what that is, to be honest with you. I just read the Bible and...
Those Jimmy Swaggart people you were talking about earlier, you're not one of those, right? You just said you weren't.
I guess not.
In my opinion, those are the people that take the Bible most seriously.
Sure.
Well, that's the point I'm making. The more seriously you take it, the worse it is. And if you take it less seriously to the point where you're making decisions based on reason and evidence instead of on the Bible, good for you.
Well, I use both. I mean,
well, that's fine. You're not perfect, but
that's part of being rational and reasoning and living in a world where we get along. But the flip side is when you paint with such a broad paintbrush, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
Doesn't that kind of go against the grain of getting along?
There was a reason why I went up front and said, I'm going to paint with a slightly broad brush here, right? And that was to admit up front that I'm making generalizations. And those generalizations don't apply to everyone. So if you think you're one of the people it doesn't apply to, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. And we don't often say, but, we certainly know that when we bring on stories about Christians who've done really wacky things and all that,
sure,
it's the lunatic fringe that's doing the weird stuff. We're not, 90% of Christians, perfectly reasonable people. Perfectly reasonable.
Agree with that.
They have this idea of God,
50%.
Which somewhere in that gray area there. But regardless, they have this idea about God and Jesus being nailed to a cross and stuff like that. Kind of weird, kind of loopy. But in general, day-to-day life, perfectly reasonable people.
Well,
but there are a couple of people out there who are just really wacky.
Because that's the way Romans killed people, was they nailed people to crosses.
Yeah, and that's
a whole other phone call. Why don't you watch our show some more and give us a call in a later episode, and we'll go down those roads with you.
Okay, that'll be interesting.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling. Bye.